Grand Finals, ESL Open Cup number 62 on the European server. As we start off in the top right corner of the map, our red Protoss player. Let's hear it if you're cheering on ShoWTimE. Up against the blue Terran in the bottom left corner of the map from Team Liquid, we know it is Clem. We've been following a lot of his run today from the round of 8 into the round of 4. Tough round of 4 against Goblin, couple lost maps, one a bad build order choice, the other Void Raid, and didn't respond well enough. Micro was not quite there. Don't think you're going to have to worry about Void Raid too much against ShoWTimE, but you do have to worry about going, aggressive against ShoWTimE if you're then going to go walking into a couple rough fights, so definitely a couple things to look at here, as you do see this probe around through the top side. ShoWTimE does have an early probe on the map. Should just be for a scout more than anything. I'd be shocked if he goes starting to build Stargates and stuff. Maybe he just watched that Goblin series and got a taste for it, though. Probe comes in, SCV takes some damage. And as we get this started, just going to be seeing the couple of SCVs going to pull and go for the chase on that probe. Obviously wants to get the command center up on the natural without much of a problem, so that's the goal right now. Marina's actually going to come out and get the probe kill, which is a really nice little win. And now going to go into a reactor on the follow-up. So Clem, Marine first, going to help him to get that probe kill there initially. Now we go from here and see what's next. Next is still on the way up. Warp gate coming through. As the SCV comes down to the natural expansion, gets back home, and gets mining away once again. So back to where we were at. Just going to be seeing triple CC from Clem as the build order against this Twilight Council. So just going to be seeing 3 bases, Clem early in the game. So he actually did this on Oxide against Goblin as well. And honestly, I still stand by the fact that I kind of believe that that was something to do with the fact that Goblin was going to play Phoenix, but now Clem's doing it against ShoWTimE. Maybe it was more just map dependent, and it was a bit more fortunate for Clem. Anyways, as it stands, we're going to see there's a depth shading up into the natural. There's a few Marines right there, providing a bit of coverage. The predictions, by the way, are kind of wild. ShoWTimE, 326k, Clem, 817k. A lot of people believing in Clem over on the channel point predictions. Depth hanging out in the center. Just Adept trying to keep up to date with what's going on, trying to keep an eye on things, and yeah, just keeping an eye out, right? Keeping an eye on, especially if Clem wants to move across the map. Dark Shrine on the way. Now, Clem is not set up to go into a Raven against DTs, but what he will have is obviously the 3rd CC. That's going to help him recuperate any SCV losses. And, yeah, just obviously, extra scans available as well. So being able to have that on your side definitely helps. As these Marines move to the ramp, do you see this depth? Shading forward, doesn't quite get up there. Alright, again, just the Adept continue to pick up information. We're going to be seeing our game coming down to this this setup very soon, where we're going to be having, well, already a Nexus up on this top side from ShoWTimE. A few DTs making their way into the main base, though. So ShoWTimE bringing some DTs around the left side, going to go in for the main. So yeah, let's see what the DTs can do. Clem, oh, he doesn't have a scan ready, but he has a turret in the natural. He just has nothing in the main. Oh no, Clem, ShoWTimE, if he realizes this, he loses a DT. This is silly, because Clem didn't have a scan, and ShoWTimE could have absolutely turned and killed Stim. And if he killed in turn, I mean, he's only going to get 3 SCVs and a lot of lost mine time, don't get me wrong. There should have been so much more, and especially being able to deny Stim. I really thought that was actually going to happen, so kind of shocked that that doesn't happen at all. Well, I'm just going to be seeing these couple of DTs finishing up, going to morph into an Archon. So Archon drop the next step. Does just feel like ShoWTimE missed out an opportunity, as we do have our combat shield on the way in from Clem in the main base. So a couple of Archons going to come through. I mean, this is obviously still going to be strong. No, Stim is up, but you can't really use Stim against this. Marines on their own just get kind of melted by that Archon splash, and I actually didn't think this was going to be as successful as it is. I thought it was going to be okay, but this is a huge amount of success. So a lot of Marine kills, more SCVs than the DTs were able to get. Now you're getting yourself into too much of a corner here as ShoWTimE with this Prism. Obviously, you can sit in the bottom left and be safe, so as long as you get there, that's going to be alright, and that's exactly what happens. He gets there, and now he's just going to be alright. Stalker of ShoWTimE moving down to the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Combat shields on the way up, a couple of extra barracks on the way into the main base as well, so bringing these through, as you do have these couple of medevacs about to finish on the main, and just going to be able to rally those out as our +1 armor upgrade comes in on the engineering bay as well. Stalker showing up, going to get themselves an SCV, get themselves a mule. And that's obviously just the new third base being taken advantage of here from ShoWTimE, as Clem was not in position. Clem just having to be obviously positioned to defend ShoWTimE in the main, etc. And ShoWTimE gets a couple SCVs from a customer Stalker in the end, but it's also a pretty big stim on units, and that's going to drain a lot of initial medevac energy already, so that's something else to think about. Well, this is going to get interesting though, because now these Stalkers, okay, they just escape out to the right side. That could absolutely have been a scary scenario though for ShoWTimE, because you could see a world in which those Stalkers kind of get trapped in amongst the bios around. If the Stalkers get trapped in, then you're not going to have a pretty game if you lose all of these. Clem's going to come across the map and make pretty short work of you, as ShoWTimE doesn't have an attack upgrade yet. He does have these Archons back at home. Extra Stalkers warping in. Oh, Clem loads up the medevac to go to the right side, but he'll see the Stalkers trying to blink for him as ShoWTimE realizes that it's there. So Clem's going to pull it back, and neither player going to end up committing to anything for the moment. Bio pulls back through the center. We do see a few more units just coming from the natural, and a couple of medevacs still setting up on the left. Storm building on that Temple Archives, and just seen the medevac with a couple of mines coming all the way up through to the top. A pylon going to build. Everything from ShoWTimE just sort of collecting together between bases right now, and another High Temple going to finish up, jump into that Prism. 2 more Zealots on the way in. Bio Army moving around the left here. We've got our Widow Mines making their way out. Here comes Clem. I mean, we saw Clem's TvP early, and what was so amazing about it, sometimes he just shows up in his army. It's just that much bigger than you expected it to be. Remember all that Archon harass and DT harass he took, even though, yeah, okay, that's an investment from ShoWTimE. I really thought the Archons just got a lot of Marines, and then Clem shows up with this army. It's like, well, 4th base just goes down. You don't have an army in position here as ShoWTimE. Now you get supply blocked a little bit, so rebuilding and building more and adding more to your army is going to be a little tough. And in the meantime, Clem's just like, oh, on my way to Ghost Academy, 4th Command Center. Very ready for this to go to a later stage of the game. Some units continuing to burrow up, as we'll see Clem making his way out the right-hand side. He'll be joined by a few other units here in the near future. So they're continuing across. ShoWTimE's actually just gonna go out to the middle of the map here, and Clem, I think, just attacked his own medevac for a moment. He sims up. He's going to find the new attempt of a 4th base, doing a fantastic job of keeping ShoWTimE off of that. Big Widow Mine hit on the Zealots to start off with as well, so they get weakened up a lot, and that makes it a much better fight for Clem. And now ShoWTimE's having a miscontrol around this pillar. Storms come in. That's multiple storms used for no connections. Oh wow, Clem's just having a fantastic 10 out of 10 engagement. Cancels the 4th. ShoWTimE loses units to the pillar micro. And then the High Templars did nothing. 2 of the 3 storms used, 2 storms used. There was 3 storms available, and 2 of them just completely whiffed. Complete panic mode from ShoWTimE, right? He's like, I gotta get storms down, I gotta survive. Yeah, but then the Storms hit nothing at all. Now he's got a couple high tempers still. He stims units ahead. Beautiful pullback. Clem knew when that Storm was coming, but maybe could have committed to actually get the Templar kill. Might have still been worthwhile. Now we're going to fight once more. Widowmine's going to get burrowed up. If these go off on the Zealots, I'm worried. He actually gets a good Storm off finally, but another Widowmine, I believe, or maybe just the Marine shot down the Warp Prism. Man, the Widowmines went huge on the Zealots again. Is Clem going to stim one more time? He's got so many medevacs in this as well. Colossi on the way. They're just not going to be here while there's still a front line to kind of protect the Colossi, right? The Zealot count is basically zero when there's no Zealots in this army. Everything else dies very, very quickly as Clem powers his way through the front. This Colossus, first one shows up, no range, just walks straight into the fight, gets target fired down. Clem is on his way to a game 1 victory, absolutely. Wow, so many of these fights just went so well for Clem in the last minute and a half. And they really just led the way to him winning this game. ShoWTimE arguably missed opportunities this game. Let's go watch the loading screen together as we have a look at the beautiful world of Death Aura for game number 2. Bottom right-hand side is down a game. Let's see if he can bring it back. The Red Protoss player, this is ShoWTimE. Taking on the Blue Terran in the top left-hand side from Team Liquid. We've got Clem. Ow, just hit my headset. Sorry if you heard that. Oh. Loosen up a little bit. Yeah, being a stream. I tell you, these, obviously we had I want to say we had fairly quick semi-finals today. I guess Clem Goblin went on a bit, but no single game was like super long, right? Just the size of these events, all being best of 3 into that best of 5 semis and finals, we always get like 5 to 6 hours, sometimes longer streams out of this cup. I gotta say credit to the ESL Open Cup system. It definitely works to give you epic action every single week in Europe. Actually, I was talking about this at the start of today's cup for Europe, but the Korean Cup today, the Asian Cup, was really fascinating. Vivid got to the finals, beating Dongregyu on the way. Who is Vivid? Maybe you remember Hush? I believe used to be on CJ Enters, has not been around in a long time. I believe like 4 years or something since he was on a team at least. Just showed up today. And even took a map off Creator in the finals, so like credit to Hush, who's just disappeared for a while, shown back up. It's actually really cool to see these kind of older players coming back and, you know, just giving some more variety to the Korean Starcraft scene, because at the end of the day, variety is definitely lacking in Korean SC2. So anybody that returns and can put up a fight is somebody that I'm a big fan of. As an SCV that looks as though it's going to hang around down this bottom side, which would suggest maybe a starport proxy. Obviously, there's not really much else you keep an SCV here for, unless you're going to try and SCV scout the main base at a later point. What you could do, there's no Reaper on this opening, right? So maybe you go for like a delayed SCV run-in. I think that's, you know, that's the sort of play I'd make. You know, Paranoid Wardy. I've seen, you know, I know all of these. I know there's all of these Protoss players who like to cheese me and do disgusting things, so I'd be running in there with my SCV after they built the proxy starport, just to make sure I know what's going on. Clem's actually going to lose one SCV. He's going to save the second one. Nice little micro on the command center. Adept Shade's back, and that's actually not so big of a deal, because I was going to say maybe Clem doesn't reveal the Hellions, which he doesn't. But obviously you still know there's a reactor on the factory, so you've got a pretty good guess of what's going on. If it's not Hellions, it's Widowmines. So yeah, I think ShoWTimE bringing the Adept back, assuming the possibility of Hellions anyway, making sure you can keep that alive. No point keeping it around just to full, just to end up losing it, right? Four Hellions come down the left, and the medevac going to be finishing in just a few moments. It's obviously a kind of a fun proxy location for Hellions on the starport, because it means you're going to drop into the natural, naturally, from the position that the starport is in. So that's the first point you kind of fly through. So you start in the natural, you go to the main. You can see most of the defense here is in the main, Adept and Stalker there. There's a Stalker in the wall and an Adept here as well, so I guess it's not so bad. 5 kills, you get one more volley lift up, go to the main base now, because the units just came to the natural. ShoWTimE was already warping in here. That's not going to be enough to stop Clem from getting quite a few more worker kills. 12. Going to get up to... Oh, I thought he might have gone one more there, but he will not. Stalker's been on the target fire of the medevac is big. Ooh, probes are still not mining down here, and this Hellion's just like, okay, I'll get out. I'm not going to kill another probe with everything chasing me. Keep this alive. It got a bit of map control still. Starport's on its way home. You've killed 12 probes, and Clem's up 9 workers off the opening. With a Marine Cyclone defense at home, double bunker on the way. He's like, I know the only thing I lose to now is, you know, an attack. It is 4 gate blinks. You're going to need units. It's going to be very hard for ShoWTimE to afford everything off of 28 workers. That's his problem. Right now, he can't build these Stalkers and whatever else back at home to keep on slowly transitioning. Right now, he's completely committed. Starport lands on the side. Cyclone is going to get an observer in the natural expansion. The Stalkers blink up into the main. I mean, you get the siege tank. You need a bit more micro here. You need to maintain this Stalker count, really, more than anything else. He does do that, so he does perhaps the most important thing while killing off the siege tank. ShoWTimE still just can't. He's still 12 workers down, right? Because he can't afford the Stalkers and the probes. He's got to make a choice every time. He's going to blink back in, but the tank is there. So maybe you go for the natural instead, but with the double bunker. Even when this first one dies, SCVs get to the second one. They're not repairing right away, and they're not fully surrounding it. You sit around in that damage for a long time. Tank repositions. These Stalkers are all low, by the way. A tank shot in the center of these Stalkers would kill so many. They're such low HP. ShoWTimE trying to squeeze every ounce of blood and life out of every single unit right now. And boy, does he need to play catch-up in this game. Prism gets the Cyclone lock on. Not sure if that's really intentional, if he's just trying to have a look and see what's there. There's the natural under a bit of fire. The tank's going to move down. Stalker's going to blink at the tank and move out. Nice lift to save it from the Cyclone damage as well. So Clem still struggling against these Stalkers. Getting the bunker back up on this natural will be a big deal, but this time he actually needs to keep it alive. SCVs pull in. It will not be enough once again. I'm afraid this game is spiraling out of control for Clem, as ShoWTimE just has so many Stalkers. Cyclone locked on, gets the Stalker that's out in the back, not saved by the Prism this time. If Clem stabilizes, he's still in a beautiful spot. 3cc against... He scans as well. He knows. He wants to know how old his opponent is. Misblink from ShoWTimE. He didn't have high ground vision. The tank survived for so long. Oh, a huge misplay by ShoWTimE here is going to cost him his Stalker count. And that's going to be Clem with the ability now to stabilize in this game. Oh, what a misplay by ShoWTimE. It looked like he was blinking for the ramp and he missed the blink up. So he blinked just straight into tank fire. He got the tank in the end, but it was way too late. Oh, and just as Clem is dropping the Am I Dead scan across the map as well, ShoWTimE makes a massive blunder, and Clem will be able to continue pumping SCVs on 3CCs, thinking about a third base at some point in the future. Wow, what a play that is. The one thing Clem doesn't have is anything like Stim, right? I mean, he's a long way off having the final set of, or any sort of bio upgrades here, realistically. So that's the one thing that is good for ShoWTimE, is that Clem can't really do anything out on the map apart from like a Marine tank push. That's very vulnerable to just Stalkers as you come across. And even across the map is not really ideal. It would just be the army supply advantage that would give Clem the possibility to do that. But does he want to risk it? Does he know where he's at in this game? Because it's such a difficult position to play from right now, right? That's a really tough position. Marine setting up on the ramp on the natural, between the natural and the main. Gonna pull back here, gonna look for maybe jumping into this bunker. Third Nexus down on the south side. So finally, I mean, Clem scans again. He's like, are you still 2 base? He's like, right, you're on the way to a third. So now I know exactly where you're at. It's pretty important as the tank siege is quite far forward. The Prism is trying to come around the left side and make its way into the main for a few SCV kills. Clem didn't react right away, so gonna lose a couple SCVs. I think just the one actually, and now Viking is going to be able to force this Prism to recall. And that takes the pressure off of Clem, who is just going to end up taking the third base, going into his upgrades, continuing on from here. Oh man, I can't believe that misblink on the ramp. I actually kind of want to watch the watch what happened. I just missed clicking over to my stream at the right time for it. I think he did just blink forward, expecting to get the tank, and maybe he was pulling the prism back and he just lost the high ground vision because the tank was like on the ramp, so it wasn't like quite... He maybe didn't expect it to be high ground. Oh, such a blunder from ShoWTimE. It's absolutely brutal. Stalkers around the right, gonna hop up 4 of them. Gonna start picking off SCVs. 4 workers down. Now gonna have to lift up, back away again. More units from Clem. Starting to move through the middle of the map. Army moving through the center. Just gonna see a couple Stalkers in some trouble. ShoWTimE gonna have to make his way up towards the top side of this here as Clem is just gonna go through the center. I mean, there's a Colossus up. No Thermal Lance yet. No +1 attack for a few moments. So even then, it's gonna be 1-1 against +1. I mean, that's surely you just can't take that fight. Clem's gonna back away. I really do think Clem doesn't quite notice the position he's in, or not notice, but it's been a weird game, right? So it's very hard for him to know where he's at, right? You know, maybe you lose count of how many workers you kill early. Maybe you lose count of how many you lose in the process of this entire blink attack. Clem's just gonna back it up. It actually probably would have been a good fight for Clem, right? The Zealots have charged, but you're gonna meld everything in that army. Because you just have 1-1 against no armor upgrade. So for now, ShoWTimE survives. He's gonna get a chance to play on 4 bases. Which, well, a lot of the time is all ShoWTimE would hope for. Clem's going to start his own 4th command center and a couple extra Vikings. He's really been scared away from taking this position. I think it's ShoWTimE faking his strength, right? ShoWTimE was like, yeah, let's fight. And Clem's like, whoa, no, I don't want to fight. And ShoWTimE's like, okay, we won't. But then because ShoWTimE's like, oh yeah, you know, maybe we should fight, Clem's kind of like doubting, I think, a bit of what he could have done here. Yeah, look at these Marines just shredding Zealots. Imagine that happened with the entire army previously. There's so much potential to do damage there. Anyways, not the matter. Well, that wasn't a phrase, was it? Not to matter. Because Clem will still hold an advantage, right? I mean, now getting Vikings, Ghosts. Arguably, the way he's playing is the safer way. Again, if you're unsure about where you're at in the game, you know, even if you kind of know where you are, sometimes those fights, if you just misjudge it slightly, mismicro, you let the Colossus do too much, maybe you lose your advantage. Push up from ShoWTimE. Clem's got the double drop on the bottom side. His main army's still over here, though, so I don't imagine ShoWTimE's just going to suddenly find a way to fight in. Vikings to provide coverage, too. Good blink on the Stalkers to defend and to push that back. Marines and Medevac's going to come up the left-hand side, and ShoWTimE going to try and make his way up this ramp. Couple Widow Mines here. You got to be so careful of every position you push into right now. As Clem, that's completely reckless play with these double drops. It was just, I mean, it felt like that was actually F2'd with the rest of the army or something, which is kind of wild. I mean, they would have just been better over here. There's nothing at home from ShoWTimE, who's maxed out as well, by the way. There's nothing at home. So if Clem had just kept those 2 medevacs on the map, he could have gotten so much damage done. Tank Widow Mine starting to do a lot. Bio going to stem forwards here. These Zealots in some trouble. Stalkers blinking back with the rest of this army. A few more Zealots continuing through. The Bio army having to be careful. Vikings looking to come forward, and we do see again a lot of Zealots continuing to just melt. Stalkers blink back once again, and Clem is going to hold on, but ShoWTimE's on his way to a 5th base. On his way to a 5th base. Some ShoWTimE now up the left-hand side, changing directions. These couple Widow Mines get amazing shots off. Obviously, now Clem's got to fight through this choke into Colossi fire, right? It's always the issue when you're defending this base. If you start out of position and your opponent gets up the ramp, Clem's just deleting units. There's still no armor upgrades on this army. I think Clem's starting to realize that he can just chase this army down. What started off, I mean, you've just lost the Zealots, you've lost the front line, right? Those Widow Mines really did do work, but the lack of upgrades is really showing. And Clem just destroys everything. I mean, this wasn't even... But kind of how close it started to feel like this game was becoming, this fight just looks nothing like what the rest of this game was starting to be. You know, all of a sudden this fight, just everything's dead. Wow, that's kind of wild. Vikings, Bio, Ghost continuing down the bottom. We've got a couple of disruptors out now. They're going to have to be ShoWTimE's lifeline that he clings onto, and, well, Clem sees them. He loses a Ghost, mind you, as he scans to see how many more there are. There's only one disruptor shot left, so Clem attacks in, knowing he just has to have one dodge here, and then he's pretty much free from splash damage. That disruptor's not firing yet, so Clem still has to be careful. Another one did show up. Oh, but he actually gets the target fire on the first one. The second one fires from too far away. Now, the others will be coming off of cooldown, so disruptor shots available again. Tell you what, this game would be a lot easier. Clem does know about the right side of the map. I'm just going to try and attack into this choke anyway. I mean, denying the 5th base should be the first move here. There's 23 probes there that he could go and kill. And it's much easier for him to get on top of that base than it is for him to push into that choke point. He's going to start backing it up right now, but... Clem's doing a lot of things that's making this game more difficult for himself. And I do stand by that. I think the early game just threw him off a lot. So he's not quite so sure where he's meant to be or where he is at. And he's trying to just adjust to it when, again, from our point of view, obviously feels as though Clem's had quite an advantage for a little while, especially after that fight on the left. I think Clem feels that as well. Obviously, disruptors are difficult to end games against, and that's part of the problem. Also, he's now got, 11 Vikings against 0 Colossi. Well, those disruptors landed amazingly, and that's what ShoWTimE's going to need if he's going to stay in this game. Disruptor shot fires, Bio backs away. Gets the Liberator out on the right-hand side. Just going to be seeing extra libs all producing advanced ballistics on the production tab. Plus 2 ship weapons as well, as Clem just really playing for a longer game. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, this is like 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, but like 5, 6, 7 minutes of Clem, who we know for being such an aggressive player, just saying, no, I don't have what I need to kill him, and just tacking up, playing the later game. He's now 3-3 against 2-1, but that's about to be 3-2 from ShoWTimE. A lot of the advantages that Clem had to make this game easier, just, they are disappearing that little bit, right? Especially when ShoWTimE's been on 6 bases this whole time. If Clem had done anything on that right side base while pushing the left side, I really believe ShoWTimE would have been in serious trouble defending it. And if you'd been able to actually deny this base, I mean, it just makes ShoWTimE's position that much weaker. ShoWTimE, he's now controlling the map with disruptors. How did we get to this point? I mean, at the same time, Clem still does again have like 20 supply and Vikings that are not immediately useful. I mean, you can still land them against Stalkers and Disruptors, though. Honestly, you could even fly them around the map as harassment at this stage. Like, even if the Vikings showed up on the right side of the map, they would probably do really well. Nice from Clem. He catches all those DTs. Beautiful moves to block them. He loses the command center, but it's an expensive investment from ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE, who's had the bases, but he's obviously not rich, right? Just with the way the game is going, he's never had... he's had to rebuild a lot of times. If you look at resources lost, you can see he's lost a lot more than Clem. So yeah, ShoWTimE's never really been rich, so... just kind of having to lose the... he doesn't have the ability to rebuild DTs multiple times over is what I'm trying to say, which is sometimes what you see in this matchup super late in the game if the Protoss has a lot of bases. Man, these Stalkers just can't stand up for anything. I mean, this Bio Army's basically dead with, red and orange HP across the bar. It looks like it's on fire in the health bars, but seriously, Clem is just able to shred through this if he can avoid the disruptor shots. Obviously, the disruptor shots make it difficult. But again, I will just say, you've got the left side of the map with all these disruptors. What's wrong with the right side? It's crazy to me that Clem isn't attacking on the right. Widow Mine shot as ShoWTimE starts to get up this ramp. And DTs and Zealots are going to show up on this upper right base, and Clem, nothing in position to deal with it. So, at the same time, he's trying to push forward once again. ShoWTimE on a supply lead. As this base has to lift up, SCV is still going down. Clem being held to 4 bases against what is now a 7-base Protoss. ShoWTimE got away with so much that he should have never been able to do this game. I do wonder what kind of scared Clem so much. Is it really, the thing is, I can understand the start of the game. It's it's hard to judge where you're at. It's hard to know where that game is going, but there's been points in this game where he's won major fights. He's just not found a way to do anything about it. Again, I guess Disruptors obviously made it hard at times, but he also knew about this base on the right side while pushing into 4 Disruptors and a choke point, when he could have outran his opponent to this right side base and killed this off, or put damage here, or forced a recall, which opens up the level. You know what I mean? There's so many moves to make. I know I'm kind of going over this again and again, but it's crazy to me that this game on Death Door has come down to this at this stage. I mean, it's turned out to be an awesome game. Maybe I'm ruining it with my whining a little bit of how things are, but it's definitely been an imperfect game, an incredible effort from ShoWTimE to bring this back a little bit and to give us a game. Again, now 7 bases against the 5. Well, Clem's going to try and take a forward base over on the right side as well. ShoWTimE's army is still very flimsy, by the way. If he loses these Disruptors, everything... The Stalkers can't fight. The Stalkers are just sort of meant to be Disruptor fodder. It's all in the Disruptors, so if these Disruptors don't do well, ShoWTimE loses everything. And the moment ShoWTimE loses, he doesn't have a bank, so he just loses base after base from there. Because this is not going to... Unless the Disruptors connect, this is not going to be an even fight. And if it's not an even fight, Clem can just go across the map and kill everything. So who's winning? I guess it's a good question. I don't know. Because actually... I mean, it really just depends on the engagements, right? They both have the opportunity to win this. Some Zealots come down this ramp. Obviously, again, Disruptors doing a good job of keeping this army at bay. The Liberators actually did a good job of getting rid of a few of these Disruptors, definitely giving Clem a better chance to keep on chasing down. These Disruptors are all on cooldown right now. This is Clem's opportunity. ShoWTimE is warping in Stalkers. Disruptors are trying to keep on running. Clem says, okay, I'll get a couple. He's going to go and finish them off as well. So he gets rid of all the Disruptors. And ShoWTimE is not going to die yet because Clem backs off again. Super battery in place. Medevac's low energy. Units low HP. Probably makes sense. Clem's got a ton of reinforcements ready to go. Worth mentioning, obviously, a lot of Clem's units now are Liberators as well. So those are expensive, critical kind of tech units. So it's not as, it's not as overwhelming an army as it once was. So that's a bad Disruptor shot for Clem. And ShoWTimE is right back in the game with the Disruptor shots. Well, I mean, Clem just walked through the middle of the map and didn't pay any attention to where ShoWTimE's army might be and left his own army alone for a while. So ShoWTimE turns this game around yet again after losing the Disruptors on the left side. The couple he was able to retain as reinforcements or so show up big time. Now Clem has to dodge Disruptors. He tries to defend his base. SCVs are being shot down. Clem's in some serious trouble, guys. Should have taken the opportunities when he had them. He's given ShoWTimE so many chances to get back in this. Like, this game, this series should never have been this close. Clem should have been 2-0 up 10 plus minutes ago. Game 3 should be well underway, but nope, here we are. ShoWTimE looking to tie this 1-1. This is the kind of game as well where sometimes I think Clem comes out of this and he's going to be like, god damn, like, if he felt like he was ahead, he can definitely, get a bit tilted off this one. We've seen that from Clem in the past. His mental game is definitely sometimes his downfall, Stalkers blink in. Widowmine shot's beautiful. Dead center on the army. Clem still has an army supply. He's just lacking the SCVs he once had. Resources lost 41 to 37k. ShoWTimE has every base on his side of the map. The only base that isn't taken is the 9 o'clock for Clem. ShoWTimE's going to find his way around the top, so Clem's just going to say, right, I'm going to go for a base. I'm going to go base for base. I don't know who's mined this base. I feel like ShoWTimE's had this base for way longer than Clem's had this base, so in theory, I think this base kill is better for ShoWTimE. Clem maybe just confident he can replace that base easily, where ShoWTimE maybe can't. And to be fair, ShoWTimE's not exactly rich, so yeah, he probably can't. He's going to leave a lot of probes alive, though. And that's the issue. Clem just lost 24 SCVs, but ShoWTimE keeps these probes to mine another day. So ShoWTimE's still mining with 80 workers Well, Clem, 33 SCVs. It's not like he's freeing up space for army supply. He doesn't have money to build. He doesn't have the money to max out, right? Disruptor shot's going to buy time, and now we're going to see the Liberators, a big scary part of this. Clem taking a significant army advantage, using so much of this medevac energy, stimming away to try and just stay alive, dodging away from disruptors. Probes almost ran into the Terran army. ShoWTimE going to lose a forward base. This is actually a pretty big base because this is a fresh base. But maybe getting to the point where the probe count of ShoWTimE doesn't matter, because we're getting to a stage where there's not really bases for him to mine from. He's going to come over here, deny this base. Clem is out of mining, right? He's got this base here. Okay, they're just going to go bases for bases. Well, it's actually kind of terrifying on both sides because neither player really has a bank. ShoWTimE has a gas bank, but not a mineral bank. Clem is going to see a disruptor here if he's paying attention. He was not. ShoWTimE gets a shot off. Now Clem's going to see the disruptor. Oh, and it goes the other way around. It's a little bit of a pathing error. The disruptor shot moves through. Clem's going to go right. He's got to go right side, right? Unless he doesn't base trade. Yeah, but then what? You're just going to have a recall? These students are just going to go home? Liberator's going ahead of the rest of the army. Now Clem having his own pathing errors. And he loses another Liberator as it flies too close to the sun. Disruptor shots from the right side, firing away. Another disruptor shot connects on the bit of bio. You'll see disruptors firing as Clem's going to come in. He's got a surround on this army because there are enough disruptors to shoot everywhere at the same time. Clem's kind of cutting back. His army supply is still in the lead. He's getting a couple libs sieged up. He needs to chase onto these disruptors. There are shots available, but he should be able to deny them with the Marauders in the front lines. 2 disruptors remain. They have shots still, but they'll never get them off safely. And Clem has just broken through ShoWTimE's army. He'll cancel the right side base, deny a lot of long distance mining. And it's 39 probes on the map now from ShoWTimE as Clem moves up a ramp onto the right side base. Man, this was a whirlwind of a game. As we're going to be seeing, this next is going to go down. ShoWTimE, ooh, the Archons. I can appreciate the Archons, but at the end of the day, the EMPs are just going to delete them, right? It's just not the splash damage that makes do 26 minutes in when your Terran player still actually has an army. A reasonable army as well. GG from ShoWTimE. He made this game last 15 minutes longer than it ever should have done. And Clem wins anyway. It's such a weird game because I feel like Clem was winning the entire time. Apart from like a couple of moments towards the end, I really felt ShoWTimE maybe started to have it. But Clem's army was always just better. He just didn't do the right things to win it for so long. Yeah, so ShoWTimE had a gas bank at the end of the game, so he probably built the Archons because it was the only thing he could really afford to build. In trying to make use of his resources. Like, it was never the right set of units to have against Ghost Liberator, yeah, but you know, at a point like that, you just got to build whatever you can, right? And yeah, GG's. Alright, game number 3. Down 0-2 in the bottom right. Our red Protoss is ShoWTimE drawing the games out, making sure he doesn't die until the last possible moment, making sure he gives himself every chance to get back into games and to keep things going. Top left, Blue Terran is going to be Team Liquid's Clem. Third map of the series, as we do have our probe of ShoWTimE making its way to the upper left-hand side, so scouting up in towards the main base. Probes is around. Nexus from ShoWTimE on the natural expansion as we get this underway. A pylon out the front. As you see, our command center reactor. Everything coming through right now. So it's just that Marine open and gain, staying away from the Reaper setup. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about how ShoWTimE played it, probably affecting how Clem plays as well. Like, ShoWTimE being so ready to take a fight out on the map definitely had Clem afraid when he could have just A-moved and won the game, I think. So, you know, ShoWTimE definitely kind of bluffed his way into the later stage of the game. That was what was so cool about watching ShoWTimE play that game. He absolutely, you could see the moments where ShoWTimE should have died, and yet ShoWTimE, he didn't play like he was about to die, right? That was the difference. A lot of players play like they're about to die. They fall back. They're going to pull up the ramp and just be like, oh, well, you're going to take position. You'll probably take my third, but maybe I can buy time for units. ShoWTimE didn't make that play at all. ShoWTimE said, yeah, I can absolutely come out and fight. So Clem is all of a sudden in a weird, unfamiliar game where, you know, ShoWTimE's lost workers, but then he's all in, and he's done some damage. Clem doesn't know exactly where the game is at, and again, ShoWTimE pretends the game's in a much better place than it is for him. And he did that a couple times in the game. And that was really a key reason, I think, that Clem looks off. And again, it's very easy to then criticize Clem for that. Maybe I overdid some criticism of Clem in that last game, when a lot of it was also just down to ShoWTimE playing a good game and making it difficult for Clem to read exactly where the game is at time and time again. The one time I think was very inexcusable for Clem is when he won that fight on the left side big time, when he killed all the Colossi. I feel like in that moment, Clem should never ever continue to attack into the forward base. If he didn't know about the right side base, sure. But he really forced the issue into like 4 disruptors when he could have just gone. He smelled blood in the water. At that point, I think he completely believed he'd won. But then he couldn't break ShoWTimE by not going to just kill the base on the right side. You know, we saw what that led to. A 5th base suddenly became 7 bases. You know, and ShoWTimE just kept expanding like it was nobody's business. It's one of those games you can sit back and talk about for days and days and days. Maybe not days, but hours and hours. As you will see, the Dark Shrine in the main base about to finish up. So I'm going to see these DTs now. Climb on his way to a Raven. We'll say that ShoWTimE definitely gave up his own opportunities earlier in game number 1. I still stand by the fact he could have had a stim cancel, and he really just missed the opportunities. Clem pulling back from the edge just as the prism flies in. DT in the natural then, and Clem gonna have to deal with this as he is dropping the mines. 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs down. Let's see what this mine does. Unburrow, reburrow. Just gonna try and be annoying as the Raven is about to pop. See, oh, the warp prism in some trouble. Well, that's actually kind of interesting. He put so much damage on the prism. Auto turret as well, it's just not enough to get the kill. That means that Clem's going to eat 7, 8 SCVs. He's just rallying SCVs to the natural, going to bring his Raven down, and this DT is just going to run away. Oh, wow. ShoWTimE gets 8 workers, loses nothing at all. He isn't mining from his main base still, though, so in fairness, Clem has done a lot of mining denial. You can see it's still being ShoWTimE favored, but Clem fighting back a little bit. He's going to maybe deny the natural for a bit. DT's here, though, going to swipe that Widow Mine down. Doesn't mean the DTs are still at home, though, so I guess that's something that Clem will look at and say, well, that's okay. As he'll get ready to start up into Stim now. ShoWTimE with 3 bases up. Clem sees that. He's going to boost this medevac. We'll save it. No blink just yet, of course, after DT's blink at 5:45 would be pretty quick. So Clem will get his medevac back home as well, having picked up some information. With that Widow Mine drop and obviously denying some mine, which was pretty necessary, else ShoWTimE's work damage might have just been a little too much to handle. As it stands, an 11 worker difference. It's not quite where Clem wants to be, but it's manageable. For sure, as he goes into Stim, etc. And ShoWTimE just goes into a lot of gates with that +1 coming through and blink about to be done. ShoWTimE going to have the double Archon drop. We saw this back in game number 1 as well, and it had... Honestly, I feel like the Archon drop in game 1 was way better than the DT drop. Now, obviously, this time the DT play was way better than in that first game as well. Archons will drop in. Viking going to put some one-shots out. Benefits again that Prism low from earlier. It's still weak, right? So it's easier to push back. And while you didn't get the kill on it earlier, still a little benefit. As you can see, this Raven, I think, just sweeping for a little bit of an observer check as well. Just wants to see if there's anything out there. Tank on sieges, bunker salvages, and we do have a push coming with Stim and +1 finishing. So I'm going to move out, unless he's just going to move forward to take the 3rd CC. That's also a possibility, as the 3rd CC is finishing. So it might just be clearing the way to take a position. As you can see, ShoWTimE very active with the observer, moving it a lot to make sure that it doesn't just get found in an AFK position by the Raven. I think that's actually pretty critical because so many players will just park the Raven, observe it here and just watch, and it'll just die to the Raven. But ShoWTimE making sure that's not the case at all. Clem, well, he drops these Widow Mines just as ShoWTimE build a cannon here. So ShoWTimE, even if he didn't see it coming, was in the right place on his camera at the right time. Clem, really good retargeting on this Widow Mine, buying as much time as possible. And he's also going to drop into the back of the third base with a Widow Mine. Oh my god, that probe nearly led onto the other probes. It does not in the end. Good mining time denial. Again, 2 probes doesn't seem like a lot, but it's the mining you lose. That was a base that was mining for on the natural for a few seconds, not doing anything, and then the third base also have to pull workers. That's going to be a worker loss or mining loss. As Clem is going to fly this medevac haphazardly through the right side. He's just about going to keep it alive, so... Oh, these 2 Widow Mines still active. ShoWTimE needs to be careful about that, as the medevac otherwise continues forward. Soga's kind of looking for the medevac. Can't believe he's left the mines behind, probably. It is over in the base already. Stalker's just blinked in, gave one of themselves up. And now the medevac's back through. God damn it, Clem is so annoying to play against. Like, how is this kid in the natural again with the Widow Mine drop when ShoWTimE saw it when it was in the top side of the map and his army was there? It's incredible. Alright, well, we do have ShoWTimE about to go for an attack forward. Now, the problem for Clem is that he has used all of his Widow Mines offensively, so he only has a couple left defensively, which could be an issue in this. ShoWTimE doesn't want to commit through to the choke point with the Zealots, and I don't blame him. Oh, huge anti-armor missile. Is Clem really going to end up getting a fight with this? He is. ShoWTimE runs into Widow Mines on the right side as well. Oh my god, ShoWTimE just lost everything. This was never going to be a good fight. I couldn't believe it when he was running forward with the anti-armor missile on him. The moment that missile dropped, like I said, I couldn't believe Clem's going to get a fight with this anti-armor missile on, because there's no world in which ShoWTimE should commit to that. Like, this first move from ShoWTimE, he sees the choke, he's like, yeah, that's not good for me, so he backs away. Then he gets hit by the anti-armor missile. This should be a disengage, right? Or is he... Can you just not disengage because the Terran's going to chase you? Probably that, right? He just probably can't disengage. Terran's going to chase War Prism's Matrix. He can't reinforce. God, this fight just sucks for ShoWTimE. Like, you don't want to take this fight, but if you run away, I guess you're just going to lose to Terran units stimming you down. And especially when you've got anti-armor missile, you're taking bonus damage. Wow, and that's how the game in the series ends. Clem 3-0 as he just obliterates this fight. These Widow Mines did so much on the right side as well. Another one cleaned up the last couple of Zealots. Yeah, like I said, you just can't really run away. Like, when you look back at it, you realize that as well, right? Ah, jeez, GG's. Clem 3-0.